Thank you. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Wisconsin for 5 minutes, Mr. Tiffany.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we heard over the last few years, every state became a border state with the previous administration, and cartel members openly stated that they used our northern border to smuggle in narcotics. Mr. Feddersen, do you think it's equally important to implement these drone enforcement programs at both the southern border and the northern border?
Yes, sir, I do. And they are being implemented at the federal level, particularly CBP on both the north and the southern sides. However, the lack of authorities for detection, track, identify, or even the mitigation piece does not extend to those local departments that are shoulder to shoulder with CBP taking action to address these issues. We're severely overmatched by the criminal element when it comes to it.
How should that change, in your opinion?
I think it's actually quite easy, sir. Detect, track, and identify authorities are Title 18. They're very vague, they're antiquated, and they honestly add a lot of confusion to law enforcement and commercial sectors and critical infrastructure that want to be able to see what's flying in their airspace. The information that goes from there into the counter-drone systems like ours are nothing more than remote ID data. It's just data that is coming directly from the drone. The most personal information you may get from it is the serial number, which is akin to a license plate on a vehicle. Law enforcement still has to call the FAA in order to get the registry information from the FAA, and then from there be able to take the leads. I think DTI should be a blanket open authority for critical infrastructure security, law enforcement, and honestly, all federal agencies, because they don't all have the authority right now.
So with that authority, they could accomplish the mission that you were referring to that they're not able to fulfill at this point, is that correct?
Correct, most of it, because at this point you can figure out where the drone is, where it took off from, and where the pilot is in real time.
And the cartels and others are light years ahead of law enforcement at this point, in part because of that?
Honestly, the rest of the world, sir. I mean, we're a global company in 33 countries. We do airports and law enforcement and military everywhere else, and they use our system quite a bit to mitigate.
So mitigation looks much different in other places around the world than it does here in the United States.
It's only the policies and legislative piece. They have given authorities to their law enforcement and security entities.
Do you think China may have had a hand in the drone activity around some of our military sites?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I believe that drones are a tool. They're a tool by criminal networks, and they're a tool for foreign adversaries. So absolutely, they're being used.
Sergeant Dooley, are you familiar with the Guangpan Cape Canaveral incident that happened earlier this year in Florida?
Vaguely, yes.
In the case of Chinese-born Canadian citizen, Guangpan was found to be using a drone to take unauthorized photographs at Patrick Air Force Base, a submarine wharf in Cape Canaveral. Have you seen increased activity of drones around U.S. military bases in Florida?
So military bases, not so much. We don't support them as often. It's normally during large-scale events, but we went from literally detecting a few hundred per month in those general areas where they're restricted airspace, like a DoD site or military base, to thousands. In particular when DJI in particular drones turned off their geofencing for the most part. So our principal workhorse years ago in the state of Florida, which we used, was DJI drones. That's how we got started. Now we're not allowed to use them anymore. But back then, you had to have special permission. The drone told you, you're not allowed to fly here or take off from here. Now that's not the case. Now it's simply a checkbox where you turn on your drone and it could be right next to an airport runway, and before it would say, you can't fly here. Now it says, you're taking responsibility, you touch a checkbox and it takes off and flies wherever you want it to fly now. So we've seen a dramatic increase over the past, I'd say, 8 to 9 months of going from a handful of detections to in the thousands of detections in these areas or within range of our detection equipment because there's no more geofencing. So yes, it has increased dramatically in a lot of these areas. Not just our critical infrastructure, but our military sites and other places.
And isn't it correct that we do not produce a lot of drones in the United States, principally produced in China? Is that accurate?
That's correct. The principal ones that are produced here are normally purchased by DoD or law enforcement or areas like Florida, where we restrict the type of drones we're allowed to purchase.
For national security purposes, do you think that we should make that a priority to be able to produce them in the United States?
I'm a proud American, for sure. I would love to be prideful of us producing those types of things here, yes. But I also don't want to stifle some of the things where people need to buy a certain product because it's the correct tool for the correct job, if that makes sense. But buying American should be preferred, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Gentleman yields back.